Okay, that's enough of that silliness. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Bead Maker and Coffee with Sydney Bragwin and her special guest, Erik Rutledge. So I'll let you guys take it away, but happy post-Valentine's Day
Yes.
Monday
Yes. Good
morning.
morning, Erik.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for the
Well,
invite.
it's not so bright and early where you are, but we'll pretend it is.
Bright and
Right?
cold is what it is.
Yes. Keith has it the worst. It's really early there. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. It looks like we've got lots of people here watching, so that's awesome. So let's get into it. Let's start. What have we been doing, Keith? I always feel like there's so much to pack in every 2 weeks.
Well, but you know what?
Erik was with us.
We've been home for 2 weeks.
Barely,
had
yeah.
a little
Just
road trip
2
on
weeks,
Saturday,
right?
but we really have just been
Yeah.
slogging through the snow for both of us, which is kind of odd. I mean,
Right.
Erik lives in Snowmageddon anyway, but yeah, we even had snow in Oregon, but it's been kind of a homebody 2 weeks, which is going to end very quickly and very soon for
Right.
both of us.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's been nice to kind of try and get a reset. I think the problem with that is you go, I got all this time. I can just I'll take my pace.
Right.
No.
Yes. True. Yes. So we just barely got home 2 weeks ago, right before the last episode from MTE. So first, to start the show, I definitely want Erik. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I want you to tell us about MTE because you were a first-time participant this year. And, fun fact, you stayed in the PNS house with the craziness. So that was fun. But I want to hear your take on MTE and what you thought of it as a show. So first, tell us about you, tell us about your business, and then tell us about MTE.
Awesome. Yeah, MTE was great. So I've been into the detailing industry for about 5 years now. I started out as a mobile. I had a trailer, and then hired a couple employees, and then moved into shop-based and hired a couple more employees, and they've been fantastic. We've grown it to, I've got 3 full-time crew. We do lots of coatings, lots of window tint, a little bit of detailing, and then we're jumping into paint protection film here and hopefully getting into a bigger shop.
Very cool.
I did a bunch of trainings over the years, and it's been a long road, but it's been fun learning all the industry ins and outs with all the events and everything too. So I've been to quite a few. I went to SEMA a couple times, went to some other events, and Global Tech this year was very interesting. I enjoyed it. I really liked the first day with all the different classes that they had.
Yeah.
It was neat that you could pick and choose which route you wanted to go. So my priorities going there was I was learning about paint protection film, and I was learning about paid advertisements to see if that was something I wanted to get into and who to go with for that. So I could look at the list of classes and choose which ones were oriented for that, and kind of learn what I was focused on. And then there were other friends where they were focused on PDR or whatever else, and there were classes for lots of different stuff, which was neat.
Yeah.
And then the all the booths were pretty neat, seeing all the different industry brands out there.
Yeah. Very cool. So the part that Erik won't tell you is that there's a little buddy out there. So he has been in the industry for 5 years, but I will say that from an outsider looking in, he has probably packed 15 years worth of growth into those 5 years. I have never seen anybody grow their business so fast and so efficiently. Because it's just been amazing, absolutely amazing what you've done. So, kudos to you. It's been awesome. But so very, very cool shop. I was telling Erik right before we went on live how much I've been enjoying his social media videos. I think that, especially when it comes to social media, we see a lot of videos out there. And the reason I like yours is because really at the end of the day, we should be targeting our customers, right? Not so much other detailers. Totally. And yours, I think that if I was a customer, I'd be like, this is so cool to have like a look inside. A look inside of what you guys are doing, your staff. It helps you get to know your staff. You put your staff out there a lot, which I think is so great. And it just gives you like a comfort with your shop, like what's going on day to day. And then also other services you provide, right? It may be something that, wasn't in a discussion, but now they know that you do that for the future. So I think that's super cool. You've done amazing. Erik was part of Monterey team 2 years ago. So not this past summer, but the summer before. So it was super great to have you there for that too. And so, yeah, you've packed a lot into the last 5 years, a lot.
Sure have, but
So
good fun.
yeah, no, it's awesome. And I'm dead serious when I say that. It's like 15 years growth into the short 5 years. So that's been pretty cool. So we are excited to have you. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention for everybody out there, he has used PNS almost the whole 5 years. He
Pretty
knows
much.
his stuff. So ask away on the questions today because he's a wealth of knowledge as well. So we are excited to have you here. All right. So it looks like we've got lots of good mornings.
Oh, we got
coming
lots
in.
of comments coming in. I just kind of been waiting for
Lots of good mornings. Yeah, lots of good mornings. So before we jump into questions, let's do my favorite part of the show, which is what was your favorite product that you used last week? Sometimes I struggle with this one because I am not home a lot, but I've actually, I detailed a couple cars last week. So let's go into what is our favorite product of the week. So Erik, you go first.
Awesome. I've got a good one. So when I was at Mobile Tech, I had a gentleman come into the booth. I was hanging out there, and he was using, I forget what brand he was using, but he was looking to kind of move into a step up in product. And so he was at the booth trying to learn. And so he asked me, he said, what do you use? And I went through the whole lineup with our storefront and products that I use personally, and went through all the products and what they're used for and how much I like them. And then he asked me, he looks over on the other shelf and he goes, what about Absolute? And I said, oh, how could I forget about that one? So we use Absolute a lot in our shop, because that's the one I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And so what we actually use it for the most, and I actually learned this from Zach, who's up in Idaho, and it was, we polish cars. And so if we use an oil-based polish, we'll leave the polish on the car and we'll just polish the whole thing. And then afterwards, we put some Absolute in a bucket with a couple gallons of water, and we'll soak a towel, and we use wet method to get the polish off. And so the Absolute is fantastic because it doesn't really leave anything behind. It's just a good cleaner.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of my product for the week here for you.
I love it. I love it. I've never heard anybody say that they do. I mean, I've heard people say they do that, but I've never heard anybody answer with Absolute that way. So that's really cool. I've never done that, but I've heard of people doing like a wash after they polish. So that's super cool. I love it.
With two people, it goes fast because one person grabs the wet towel and just starts running around the car, and then you just go back and dry behind it. And if you're coating it after, you don't have to do it perfect. You get it 90% of the way, and then your surface prep keeps it off.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love it. Love it.
Incorporate that
Very cool.
Class.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love it. Okay, so mine is, and maybe it's because I'm mentally gearing up. We'll talk about this later, but mine is Cockpit. I love Cockpit. I love the scent of it. And you guys can see down there, like right there, the eucalyptus mint tea is one of my favorite scents. It's very unique, but I just love Cockpit. I just do. I mean, I love Express, but I just love Cockpit. So this week I used Cockpit all week. Loved it. Love it. So that's mine.
There you go.
That's my product of the week. Do you have one, Keith? Did you do anything?
Well,
you did a class on Saturday.
We had a class on Saturday. So we had, I think, 9 or 10, I think, students. And we did a Jeep Wrangler 4-door with a painted, most of them have now they have the painted cap.
Black, yeah.
So, this one was color matched all the way around. And I just think the whole damn system was the product of the week for me.
Right?
We started that class at 9:15, and at 1 o'clock we're standing around going, well, now what do we do? Because we were able to Absolute clay and seal. So we did the whole thing because we teach the class. We teach the maintenance part first because you can't wash the car after you're done. So the guys did the entire car, wheels and tires too. We polished the entire thing with rehab and the Oreo pad, and that might be my product of the week is the Oreo pad. Because I gotta tell you that black and white salt and pepper microfiber pad just kills it with rehab on almost everything. And then we went and we coated that thing with Stout, and we were done. And we did all the windows, not just the windshield. with View. But man, we were done in 4 hours. I mean,
isn't it
what
crazy?
a great class. You know, I mean, everybody was a professional. They were all detailers and they had their own shops in their own right, but they just pounded that thing out like nobody was there.
Right.
It was unbelievable how efficient that is. And Sid remembers when we started the coding training program on the road show, you know, we were pushing to get done in 9 hours, and now 4 hours, and we knocked out, you know, and look, it wasn't a perfect Jeep, but we got it 85-90% solution on everything. So
no, that's so true. I mean, I say that all the time, and I've said it to Bob several times. Like, I feel like this is the cheat code, and I almost feel bad. Because when we started doing, you know, like especially our Legend program, you know, we would always two-step the car, because with so many people doing it, you kind of almost had to. So we just reserved ourselves to the fact that we were doing a two-step. So we would two-step the car. Then we would paint prep, and then we would do Legend. We'd have to wait. Then we'd have to wait the 45 minutes, put on Defender. When we first started, we were doing Soul, and then we had to wait. So now that we've gone to rehab where we can get near a two-step correction out of one compound, and it's so easy to use and so little cleanup. And then Stout now, it's our classes are so different that you almost feel bad. Obviously I see the same thing in my own shop. It's so crazy easy. Like today we have a brand new Tesla that has like 5 miles on it, and Delaney's home to help me ceramic coat this Tesla. And I bet it's going to take us 3 hours start to finish. And that's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, we stopped for pizza. So we spent a half hour having lunch, you know, so I mean, we were done in 3.5 hours when you really look at it and go, what did we do? You know, and we did throw Defender on it after about 45 minutes or so, just because we knew he was driving home. Right. And it was a rainy day, and we had a little bit of slush on the ground. So figured, okay, we'll throw some Defender on it. But even that they knocked out in 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. And we just covered the whole truck and it was off and running. So
so cool. Erik, have you gotten to use Stout yet?
I have not gotten to use Stout, but I'm curious. I also haven't used that Oreo pad, and I've heard good things about it. So I'm eager to try both of those. The coatings these days are so fast. I tell my crew that they're spoiled because back when I started doing coatings, I'd spend 6 hours just trying to prep and lay a coating.
Totally. It used to, like, when I would book them in my shop, I'd start at 8 a.m. and I wouldn't be done until 8 p.m. I mean, it was literally 12 hours. I couldn't take a break. I remember I would be so stressed and tell my family, like, I can't do anything else today. And now it's like, maybe I'm 6 hours in, and that's with like taking lunch, taking a few phone calls, working on some stuff on the computer in between, you know, I mean, it's like very leisurely.
The products are awesome.
Yeah, but what's crazy though is I'm still delivering a better product than I was when I was taking 12 hours. I know we're talking about that it's so much easier, but the thing is I'm delivering a much better product. So it's crazy.
I was at the very, very first Inspiration coating class. We did it in Dallas at Big Man Washes, and we did it in, I think, the spring. So high humidity, and it was classic version V1, you know, the very first classic. And we did the owner of the company's truck, and it was an F-350 Super Duty with the big bed, and we're like, and Bob and I are just out there rubbing the hell out of it, and we're just like, you know. And now, you know, I can imagine if we had done Stout instead, how that class would have been. You know,
it's so funny.
Just a markedly different experience. Yeah,
it cracks me up because I think it was October of 2018 when I went through my first Inspiration class. It was before I worked for P&S, and I went through an Inspiration Classic class, and I will never forget walking my way going, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not doing that.
I know the feeling.
Funny. It was so funny. Oh my gosh, it makes me laugh. So we've come so far, and I love it. But Erik, you should try Stout. It is absolutely stinking amazing.
I'm excited to try Stout. I love Inspiration. We install that one quite a bit. That's like my.
And I do too. Yes. Yeah. Now it's great.
Well, the formula we adjusted it, and it's a totally different experience today. But man, that first year, I was like, oh boy.
Well, tell me a little bit about Stout. Is it sweat? Does it rainbow? What do you got?
it kind of sweats.
Yeah.
It kind of sweats, but it installs like Inspiration Classic. It's totally different, but it installs like it. So you're going to wipe it on, it sweats really fast, and then you wipe it right back off.
Oh, cool.
So if it starts to gray out on you, like if the sweat starts to flatten out, you waited too long.
Okay.
So it's like a 20 to 30 second wipe off, which I was a little bit worried about in the beginning because I had gotten used to the ones that you had, like you could do 3 panels.
Right.
But
Now
it
you do one
actually,
panel?
half
Half.
a panel.
Okay.
I mean, because it's not self-cannibalistic. So you can't re-wet the area that already dried.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So
Okay.
you got to get it off there and you got to like wipe it with intention, but it's super, super slick. So you're wiping kind of hard, but it's not sticky and it's not hard to wipe off, if that makes sense. You're just using pressure to get everything off. But it's super, super slick. And then what's crazy about it is with doing it that fast, I'm done about 10 to 15 minutes quicker with the car, just because you are moving fast. So you just get it done. And so it's great. But the coolest part is that like 1 hour later, it's surface cured and it is like slicker than I don't even know what to, like silk sheets. It's insane. And then it's ready to go. Like it's ready to go. No topper. Yeah. It's like ready to go. So that took about 4 hours off my time. And then the water behavior is absolutely nuts. And the customer can wash it 48 hours later. Not that anybody does, but you know how they freak out when you say don't wash it for 7 days?
Right.
So it's really, really nice to install. It sounds a little bit pressure, but once you do it, you're like, oh, you're just quick, but it's great. Really, really nice to use. It lays down really nice. It can go on plastic. You don't have to wipe it off. So no more being careful around plastic. It's great on headlights, taillights. I mean, the whole car, great on wheels. So just really, really easy to use and then super durable. So you might like this because this was a big thing for me in my little check boxes was it could not clog easy with the salt brine on the roads.
Nice. Yes.
Because that was my biggest challenge. There was a lot of coatings that I liked, but the minute somebody would drive through the salt brine, it would be flat. And so this tends to be pretty resistant towards it, which is pretty cool. And then super scratch resistant. And it's probably like 5 to 7 years.
Okay. Nice.
Really, really. Yeah. Really good.
I like the quick cure time because I delivered a car on I want to say it was Friday and it was in a snowstorm. And so we hold the cars overnight just to have them cure. And then we send them out on the road. But I know that he wanted to wash it 2 days later because when the snow was done, but he couldn't, so that's kind of nice that people can wash it right away. And I also like I like the quick coatings because I picture coating in 2-man crews, right? Yeah. And so if you stay close together where you're just doing the half a panel, you don't lose where the other person's applying.
Right.
Versus when you're doing the 3 panels, maybe you didn't see him do the mirror, you didn't see him do the pillars, and you get a little too spread out. So that's kind of nice too.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that you'll like is on a darker paint, you can really see the difference where the coating has been applied and where it hasn't. You get a deeper, richer look. So when you have 2 guys working like that, you can clearly see where you've been. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And Keith, I've never really thought about that because I don't work in I do work in a 2-man crew. Delaney just started helping with coatings, but we actually coat our own sides. But I bet you that's what makes the classes a lot easier too, is because the team member with the wipe is like right after them, right?
Yeah.
So we have a lot less issue where we used to have to be like, okay, you're 1 minute behind this person, So it's super cool. It's a real, I love it. It's a really, really, really great coating. So it's been fun. And the reviews from it and the responses from it have just been absolutely amazing. So you'll have to get some. It's a really great coating. Yeah.
When did it come out?
All right. It came out SEMA. Yeah.
SEMA. That's what I thought. Yep.
About a week or 2 after SEMA, we started shipping it. So.
Yeah. We actually, the first class was at Lindsay's place a week after SEMA. So,
fun.
Yeah.
So Oregon's getting some heavy duty classes around here. I got to get out on the road a little bit and get across the country. So.
Yeah. Which I saw some questions coming up about that. All right, Alex Dewar, our friend in Canada. Good morning, all. I'm excited to get out of our deep freeze later this week and start detailing in the driveway again. Yes. It has been really nasty in Canada. as always, right?
Good
To
morning,
be
Ron.
expected
Ron
in the winter. Good morning,
Ron is
Ron.
active. All right. We had snow and ice all within 24 hours. Of course, now the wind is howling like a. We had that too, but it was last week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The wind chill. Thomas Oleski, good morning.
We're
Thomas
under
came
2 weeks, Thomas. I'm coming to Pittsburgh, baby. You got to go to the Autoality Day with me. You got to come.
Yeah, Thomas came all the way to Lindsay's class for the Stout class.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Thomas got to use, he got to use Stout.
Yep.
All right, rags and brushes. I like it. Good morning from Mexicali, Mexico. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Buenos dias.
Yeah. Hey, Sarah's with us. Awesome to have Sarah.
Yeah.
Always good to have a fan of the show with us. And
yes.
Another fan of the program is Ryan Seiler. Good morning, Ryan, from frigid Michigan and Traverse City. So.
Yes, we have all the cold areas are checking in.
Speaking of cold,
Josh Pierce,
Captain Cool himself, Josh Pierce with us.
Josh,
Hawkeye Training Center for PNS, man. Yeah.
Isn't Josh just the best, Erik?
I love it. I had fun with him at Florida.
Yeah.
Nobody else on the planet's going to show up with a suitcase full of raccoons. Nobody else.
Yeah. Josh is a man of very few words, but man, when he talks, he's sure.
They're good.
Yeah. You got to be listening, though. Yeah.
He channels those words into his music. So,
Yeah.
We have a poet and we know it.
Yep. Good morning.
Let's see. Ron is. Hey, good morning.
Gabriel. Good morning, Erik, Keith, and Queenie. Good morning, Gabriel.
Gabriel, I was talking to your friends in Europe today. More PNS product is coming to Europe. That's all I can tell you. Can't let the cat out of the bag, but it's going to be good.
Gabriel's in the Netherlands, right? Is that?
Yeah, I mean he's literally got the mainline pipeline right there with Rag Company.
He does have a homie hookup over there. Yeah,
he does.
Bradley Bradshaw. Good morning, gang. Happy Monday.
Hey. Is it still on? Yeah, we're still planning it. As a matter of fact, I got
anything on the.
Joe Nisi and I have to get together this week. He is on my calendar call. We agreed to not do anything until after Mobile Tech, so we're on for scheduling, and it's going to get hectic quick.
Gosh, somebody sent me a message. I don't even remember who. Somebody sent me a message this weekend and said, "Hey, can you guys come to such and such?" And I was like, you like. The spring schedule just blew up last week. Absolutely blew up.
Well, that's your fault. You did this.
That's because everybody's dreaming of warmer weather at this point.
I guess, yeah. It was so funny. It was funny. And one person last week, and I'll say it, Shad in Salt Lake called and said, "Now let's lock down our date for March." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, shoot!" But
I think the response there was, "You mean April?"
Yeah. Well, no, he wanted to do April. And I was like, no, because those Utah detailers, we talked about them a lot, but they're always on all the new products. So we have to get over there because, the Utah detailers, they like the new stuff and they want to know how to use it. So we don't have till April. Cold Colorado, CS Auto Tech and Detailing. Yes. Sure. Everything's cold right now.
Yeah.
Kyle, good morning.
Yes, he is. He's a powerhouse.
Erik is a powerhouse. Yes, for sure.
Thanks, Josh.
For sure. Juan, how much does your ceramic coating cost? Keith, you're the money guy. I never pay attention to prices.
So it depends. I mean, obviously, if you're buying the 30 mil of Stout, it's the same price that Legend used to be, which retails about $154. But if you see your local distributor, they typically will sell to you at a wholesale price. Erik is kind of in that boat now. Thank you, Erik. You're one of our distribution partners in your neck of the woods.
We forgot to mention that he's a PNS storefront and now a distributor. We forgot to mention that.
So
it's awesome.
I provide out a little bit, which is cool.
I provide for some of the shops down in Milwaukee, which is fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So always look for, guys, when you're looking for your best price on product, always hit up your local distributor. They're always going to be able to do a best program for you. And the other bonus is you get the customer support out of it as well in your local market. So hopefully that answers the question. If not, hit me up on a message. What's a good pad for
Dave,
metal bright?
Eurowool, maroon, or are there better options? So Metal Bright, we typically just use it with the wool pad. So I'm not even sure the Oreo pad may work, but I just like to use just a typical wool pad.
Yeah.
I've played with I'll bounce between a wool pad and then a black foam pad. Sometimes that gets the diamond plate a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's our open fiber wool, which has always been our P2701 or whichever one it is. But it's our white wool with our now blue interface on it is the one you're after. It's part of the free ride system, but that's the pad we've used. Now I have used a twisted wool on some really scaled up junk. And again, it depends on severity. I mean, quite frankly, on chrome, you probably could even hand polish and get a great result. But if you're doing aluminum and it's pretty cloudy, probably the wool.
And Gabriel, the only reason I don't like the maroon on it is because it kind of ruins your pads, to be honest. Like I would not use, kind of like Clarity Cream, I wouldn't use like a maroon pad for metal polishing and then wash it and put it back on paint ever. I don't feel like it ever fully washes out. So unless you dedicate it to, Metal Bright, but the maroon, and I think like what Erik was saying was getting into the grooves of maybe like diamond plate and stuff. The maroon isn't going to be flexible like a wool or a soft foam pad would be. So I would probably not use maroon.
Metal Bright is one of my favorites, though. It's very versatile, which is awesome.
Yes. Yep.
It's great for polishing the brass on your uniform. Oh, wait. We don't have one of those anymore. We're both out.
You know what? This is who it was. This is who it was that was asking me when we were coming. It was Matt. He said, "When are you coming closer to me?" So I told him about Josh's training center in Iowa. But yeah.
Where's Matt?
He's in Michigan.
Oh, well, he needs to.
So we do need. Well, but I think he wants us to come.
I know, but I will tell you, and guys, look, I mean, we want to go everywhere, and we do. Ryan Seiler, he is one of the best distributors in the country when it comes to putting on a good training program and a good class. So if you are in Michigan upstate part, you can do a whole lot worse than going to Ryan's place. I mean, Ryan does a first class event, and he is really a good instructor. So, I know you want us, you want Sid, you want the magic.
So, but I think what he's looking for. So Matt was with us at Chicago, and when we went to Chicago, and so he did do Stout training, but I don't think we certified those guys, did we? Because they didn't know it was Stout. Remember, it was secret.
Okay, so
they installed it. But
next week when we're with Jason, we'll have to wrangle the list of folks, and we can send certificates after the fact because they did do it.
But then I think the other thing he wants is the full detailed training. That's what, like the interior and stuff. So that's why I suggested trying to make it to Iowa. Just because I think he wants like more than a 1-day extreme. So I'll try to hook him up with Josh, but
yeah, totally get that.
He wanted more. Yeah, he wanted more after we were at Car Supplies Warehouse.
First from Puerto Rico is diving in. Look at that.
Saying good morning to everyone. He's always such a good, follows up with everybody.
Yes. Hey, look who's with us. It's Frank.
Frank. Good morning, Frank.
I'm just pushing through all the hellos. Hey, look who else is with us. Kron is here.
Good morning.
If you guys got questions, man, now's the time to do it.
Frank says, nice play on your name for the business. Oh, Ron says at Frank, nice play on your business. Yes. That's great. Rags and brushes. I like it.
Yeah, I'm digging that name. I like it.
Me too.
Morning, Michael.
Everybody's saying good morning. Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Love to say good morning to everybody, which is
Ron,
great.
again.
Yes.
Look, guys, hit the like button, follow us, join the Bead Maker Lounge, do all the things on the social media that you guys all know how to do. So we'd love to have you follow up with us. And again, a lot of guys are going to ask questions today, and we'll try to get to everybody. But if you have questions, there's no better place than the Bead Maker Lounge to go to get questions answered.
Yeah, Josh is always on top of those responses, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit. A little bit. He's so great. Alex, being able to wash, prep, and coat a car in a day helps my anxiety from leaving anyone's car but mine in my garage overnight. I know. I have that struggle too, where I'm like, and I wish this car could leave because I'd like to put my own car in the garage. So yes, it is nice to be able to send them home for sure. I still did keep that 4Runner on Friday though. I had told him, because we had, 6 inches of snow that day, and I had told him like, oh no, it's going to be fine. He just lives a couple streets over. But then I called him at 8:00 that night. It was Valentine's, and I was like, you know what? Let's just leave it here. I'll park outside because he didn't have a garage. If I would have known it was going to his garage, but he doesn't park in the garage. So I was like, let's just leave it here in the comfort of 70 degrees overnight. Will be better.
Smart. Plus, clients like to get the cars back quick anyway.
Yeah. And it was better because then he got it back in the daylight, and it was like, the Bluebird, like everything was so pretty, but it was dry and sunny skies. And so obviously it was a much better experience. So that was nice. All right. CS Auto says, I've done tons of paint correction, especially GM Black. It sucks, as everyone knows, but it's also one of the things that rehab struggles with. So the GM Black, I can see that, but I think everything struggles on GM Black. And fun fact about me, if somebody calls and they say that it's GM Black, I charge more, or I just don't do it because I hate GM Black. I thought it was going to get better, but I've had one that was newer and no dice.
Did you guys see, Sydney, you were talking about my videos. Did you see the GM Black truck that just came in that had 20 miles that I posted?
Yes, I did.
I'm guessing some kid at a dealership with a bucket of water and brush that he hasn't cleaned out in a week. Oh. And I know that's a thing because I used to be that guy. But I'm sure he washed it up and that's what scratched it all up.
Well, the other thing is, with the GM Black is I think too many people don't pay attention to which tool they use on that. I'll be honest with you, a Duetto from Rupes is a better tool for GM Black. The less of a throw, the less aggressive it is. Even a forced action tool, because its throw isn't as big, I think gives you less aggressiveness, especially at a more moderate speed. Sometimes it's our speed and our tool. Everybody thinks every tool works, but I find the large throw DA sometimes are too aggressive for a soft paint like that. So
I can see that.
Might try the adjustment. Although we may have something coming to help you with that soft paint.
Interesting.
Yep. Let's talk about new products real quick, because I did get lots of questions about this week. So on the social media new product front, so we do have TRCMA in less than 6 weeks, which is crazy, which as you all know, that is where we like to release new products. So we have 4 that I can think of that are coming out. And so there's one in particular that I'm very excited about. So make sure that you have that on your calendar. I think we're Wednesday of that week, the first week of April. So I think that would be the second.
Morning Mountain
second.
Time. Anyway,
yeah. And so we'll be releasing new products there. And I'm super excited about that. So that's coming. So make sure you like all of our channels and everything to get all the deets on that, because it's going to be super exciting. Kyle says instead of using salt brine, they use cheese brine.
Must be from Wisconsin. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Siler Sales. What technique, process, or chemical do you like showing the most at trainings or events? The speed cure of coatings has been for a few customers of mine. Oh man, at trainings or events. Man, it used to be Bead Maker, right? For the longest time. Honestly, I think right now, my favorite thing is having the students touch the paint 45 minutes after they've just coated it. Because that shocks everyone on Stout. Absolutely everyone.
Just the slickness?
And then the other one is Reflect. Everyone's really enjoying using Reflect. So
I actually think the wash clay seal process.
When a
lot of our mobile guys just look at us and go, "Where's this been all my life?" Or the cold weather folks who have an outdoor wash bay. look at us and go, this will change our lives because we don't have to go out and wash in the cold. So,
Yeah.
but honestly, I mean, we've been pretty lucky. Our processes kind of mesh well. So if I had one thing to say, I would say, give me the 4 hours on Saturday I had, and that's my show and tell, because I just shocked. I looked up and I looked at Shane, our distributor, and I go, well, it's 1 o'clock. We're done. What are we gonna do with the rest of the day? You know.
Give me the quick rundown what you guys are doing for your wash clay seals for the trainings. I'm curious.
It's pretty great. We just do, usually we start with crystal wash because we have incorporated crystal wash.
Nice.
Because that's become such a big part of like my coating process. So we do crystal wash, and then we wash with absolute because we're generally inside a distributor's building or something like that, or a shop. So we wash with absolute, and then while the surface is wet, we spray Bead Maker, use the clay reset towel, and dry.
Nice.
So it's like
awesome.
So easy. Yeah. And then we have all the students come and feel it, the before and the after, and then they go do it and dry it. And it's just crazy. It's always crazy. Yeah. Yep. And then we show them how an hour later you can apply Defender, and it still works with the Bead Maker. They lock together. So if you want to up the longevity of the protection, you can just easily apply Defender dry, which is super cool.
Even better.
Yeah.
Does that
They're
work?
in for, say, a monthly maintenance wash or every 6-month maintenance. That's your process after it's been coated. That's your process for a guy who doesn't want to pay for the coating, but still wants the service level. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Can you stack the Bead Maker Defender on glass? Does that work, or does it get a little hazy?
No, I think you can stack it. I still do. I mean, when I'm doing my wash clay seal, I still clay and seal all the windows too.
Nice.
Because they usually have contamination on them. And then, and then I just go back over the whole thing with Defender. So I don't ever have any problem with Bead Maker streaking, but I think it's because I use it wet and with the clay towel or reset scrubber. Yeah. So I don't ever have any trouble with it streaking. And then Defender is so easy to use that, I don't have any issues. So I've never had any issue with them going together at all. Yeah.
Isn't Defender what we used for the most part at Monterey 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. So what we did was day one, we cleaned everything, put Defender on, and then remember when we went to do the auction, all we had to do was wipe them down. We didn't even use more Defender. Yeah. So it made them super easy. So when we went back for the auction, we just sprayed Absolute on a towel and.
Yep. Yeah. That's where I fell in love with Defender that day. It was awesome.
Yep. Defender is so great. And I love that you can use it. I mean, we were using it in direct sun on hot panels, and didn't have any issues with it, which I thought was so cool. So cool. All right, Travis coming in with any suggestions or tips on detailing large trucks. I have a 22 F350 crew long bed. Crew cab long bed. I especially have problems with the roof. So this is pretty much all I do is large trucks. Living in Idaho, I would say 75% of my customers, it's a big truck of some sort. So I just have lots of step stools. I do like the mid on a stick from Auto Fiber. I use that a lot on these to kind of get the back window, to get the roof. Those are great. And the mid on a stick has several different heads, so it's got the clay head, it's got the wash head, it's got everything, the drying head. So you can do the whole roof with that mid on a stick. But otherwise I just keep it simple. I mean, lots of pressure washing and, section by section, but it is interesting to see getting them in my shop, but I can actually fit a 350 long bed in my shop. It's a little bit interesting, but I can fit one in there. So no real tips on, outside of doing like an F-150 other than just making space and, having lots of step stools and long tools.
Well, the other thing that you do, Sid, that most detailers don't do is make them run it through the car wash first.
I do. Yes, I do make them. Yep. Yes, I do make them run it through the car wash first. And that is so that, and I actually just sent this text last night. I have a customer with an F-250 long bed, and he's coming in a couple weeks. And he said, well, I need it back by 12:30. And I went, whoa, I'm not that fast anymore. Like he's used to my 10-year-old against self. And so I said, I'm not that fast anymore, but I said, one thing you can do that, will help me hit that mark is you have to run it through the car wash like that morning, because he lives on a farm. He always comes in with, stuff in the fender wells and stuff. And, if you can cut 30 minutes off, your fender well cleaning, that's going to help a lot. So I do have them run it through the car wash, but like for this customer specifically, I said, you have to do the bottom blaster and you have to run it through like that morning. Cause I don't want to take the time cleaning up the underside for sure.
Because you want to detail it, not necessarily just wash it. So,
right.
Yep. Yeah.
Kyle, what's the durability of Stout? So we at PNS, I always say this, we hate giving years because it's so subjective to the manufacturer, where it lives, how it's treated, what wash it goes through. But for an answer, we say 5 to 7 years.
Yeah. And like Sid said, I mean, look, if you're living in a place where if you're West Texas with that dust, yeah, take 20% off. It just take 20% off. It's the abrasion is the thing. So if you're in a high dust area and you got lots of wind, you got whatever grime. If you live on a dirt road, you have to look at the durability being affected by the environment you put it in. Day-to-day driver on asphalt every day, probably 5-7 years. So,
yeah. Gabriel says,
I spend a lot of time with my clients talking about how they use their vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the winter, we're trucks all winter long. And then in the summer, it's sports cars and classic cars.
Yeah.
And so when they come in with their sports cars, I say, how many miles do you put on this in a summer?
Yeah.
And you'll get people that'll say 2,000 miles. I'm like, okay, well, this coating's going to last you a really long time.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Totally. And that's
or the guys with the work trucks. I had one client, we put a 4-year coating on his truck. Mm-hmm. He gets the message that says, hey, it's time for your maintenance. 6 months later, he calls me up. I say, hey, how's the coating treating you? He goes, well, it's not washing up quite as good as it was before. I go, man, all right, well, I'll take a look at it when it comes in. He put 30,000 miles on his truck in 6 months.
Yeah.
That's a whole different world.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that is such a great point, because that's what I always try to stress, especially when I'm teaching about these coatings, is don't focus on what the manufacturer says. Like, I throw that out the window. Mm-hmm. That means nothing. For me, with my customers, they don't know what brand I use. They don't care. They want to know from me, my perspective, what it's going to do for their car. So when I'm giving them their options for coatings, in my mind, I might know what Inspiration Classic, how long it lasts, and Stout, but I give it to them and I say, well, based on your car, you have, and then I go in, you have a truck, you drive this many miles, you park outside, we live in Idaho. And so I say, on your car, I think this will last about this long, and then Stout, I think it's going to last you about this long. And so I give them a realistic estimate, but I don't put it on the brand. I don't put it on the coating. I don't focus on any warranty or anything like that. I tell them how long I think it's going to protect their car, because I know these coatings well enough to know accurately, so like you said, Eric, that 30,000 mile customer, I might be telling them Stout's going to last you 2 to 3 years. And with proper maintenance, we might be able to get longer out of that, but let's see, and they're going to understand it. I mean, you drive 30,000 miles, you drive, as much as a person does in 3 years. And so I always I take it all off the product completely. And I give them my assessment as their detailer, as their professional, how long it's going to last. And so that makes for a much happier customer. Honestly, I don't focus on the manufacturer quotes at all. Not at all.
It's a good starting point.
Yeah.
But you got to adjust from there.
Right. The results may vary based on use.
Yes. And it's always one of those that I always try to underpromise, right? Because I can think of 4 customers right now that I have Inspiration Classic on that has been on for over 3 years, but they've been super good about their maintenance, and like they've come in and it's kind of where it's starting to wear down, but I don't necessarily want to spring a coating on them. So I will say, like, hey, we're at the end of this coating, but I did the maintenance, I did the sealant. It's going to last you a good another year, but plan on in 9 to 12 months, we need to replace this coating. So I like to, and that just builds trust with the customer, right? Because I know that even though that coating's kind of at the end of the life, I've done the wash clay seal, I've put Defender on it. I know that we've got a good another, 9 to 12 months. So I always like to get them a little bit longer than what I originally quoted, because that just provides them value. And I know that they're going to, either bump up the next coating or they're going to be all in. So, that's made it really easy. Last year, I think I probably redid, 20 or 30 vehicles that was a recoat, after I did them 3 to 4 years ago. So, that's nice. That was 30 coatings last year that I didn't have to fight for, right? So, yeah, for sure. All right, Gabriel, can Stout be applied over Lucid or replace Lucid and not be needed anymore? So here's my deal with Lucid, and I know you guys don't hear me talk about it a lot. I think that there is a time and place for Lucid. I personally don't use it too often, and here's why. I think the place for it is if you are a shop that primarily does headlight restoration. I don't do a ton of them. I do like 3 a year. I really enjoy the process, but I just don't do that many. Because I'm usually either doing, basic detailing, the wash clay seal, or I do coatings. So if I'm doing a full coating on the vehicle, I'm just using the same coating that I'm putting on the rest of the vehicle. I don't see the point in opening another bottle. Anytime air gets into the bottle, it's not good for it. So I don't use multiple coatings. I use the glass coating and the paint coating. So I put on the headlights, taillights, whatever coating I'm using on the body, which is perfectly acceptable. Now, to be honest, given Stout now, if I was doing a standalone headlight coating, probably going to grab Stout, just because it is that newer technology. It's easier wipe on, easier wipe off. I know it's going to last a little bit longer, but I do still think Lucid has its place for those headlight restoration people that do, 4 a week, because they're opening the bottle, they're using it. It's still a great coating for headlights. I just don't typically work in that manner. So, but then to answer the second part of the question, you can absolutely put it right over, because honestly, if you polish those headlights again, even with any polish, it's probably going to take the Lucid off, and you're going to be recoating anyway. Yeah. Jessica Rook checking in. Looking forward to seeing Team PNS at the end of the month for the PPF training. Yes. Gosh, that's like next week. Crazy.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
We'll have to get into the schedule coming up here pretty quick.
Yeah.
All right. So, Sydney, last week you used protection wax at the rag company. Wait a minute. Whoa, hold on. That's not our product. Does PNS have something similar? So, what do you got, Sid?
Yeah, man, this is where like the lines are blurred, right? So PNS does not have something similar, and I'm not gonna lie, not a bad idea. I mean, not a bad idea to not have it. I didn't really understand it.
Now, is that a spray on, rinse off product, Sid?
Yeah, so we like foamed it on through a foam cannon on a car that was coated. I mean, it was like kind of cool and okay, but I don't see where I would ever use that in my shop or my business. I thought it was kind of a cool product, but I'm much more of a fan of if a car's not coated, I think the wash clay seal process is going to leave behind something longer lasting. I think the protection wax is, I would say, Keith, it's like our spray wax or spray it.
Yeah.
It would be similar process to that, but it's a very temporary. I mean, it foamed on nice and it rinsed off nice and it dried nice, but for me, I would be worried about what I was doing to my equipment because it's going to clog up that equipment. So I just didn't understand the point of it, I guess I will say. Because for me, I was like looking at the vehicle that we used. If we didn't use the reset towel, because I'm a big, like, you got to get the contamination off. There's no reason putting protection on if you're not removing the contamination. It's like putting fluoride on your teeth without having them cleaned. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And so
it also makes it harder.
Yeah. And it seals in the contamination. So I'm not really a fan of this type of product. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. I just didn't understand the point.
Well,
so I would not.
Like you'd probably be well off to just bead cannon it. I mean, just take your foaming can and put bead. I mean, but you'd still have to wash the car first and dry the car first in order to get the bead cannon process.
And you should clay it first, which then I'm like, just clay it with Bead Maker and skip that entire step, I guess, is my thought,
Yeah, I get it. The only place I would use like a product like that or bead cannon would be, let's say, like a big box truck or, vehicle. You're not going to go around and clay something like that. And you just want to give it a little zippy look to it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe if it needs a really, really good clay, like an aggressive clay, and then maybe you want to not have Bead Maker there. You want to have more lubrication or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Then go back to Bead Cannon.
Yeah.
It reminds me of sealer waxes from the car wash. So.
Oh, that's exactly where it came from.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly. It's what they used in car washes. And so it wasn't a bad product, but I wouldn't encourage P&S to make something like that. If you wanted to use a spray on wax to use at the end of your wash, skip the step of foaming it on and re-rinsing because you're just using extra water. You could wash your car like normal and then use spray it wax and dry the car. I know Josh Pierce he uses this a lot, so maybe he can chime in on this, but I'm just not a fan of waxes. So nothing against the product. The product was great. I'm just not a fan of that type of product.
Yeah, I would bead cannon it, and then when I bead cannoned, I've just gone to the leaf blower, and I just blow the vehicle clean. I don't rinse.
Well, I think it had to be rinsed if I remember right. Yeah, it was a little interesting.
Well, the only reason the bead cannon concept works is because you're basically taking Bead Maker through a high pressure foamer, so you're mixing it with water. You're not going to get the streaking, but you're not going to get the protection either. You'll get a little bit of it, like I say, a little bit of a zip and a shine. But I'm with you, Sid. If we're just going to do it, let's just apply it. And the other thing is it takes longer to apply it on, rinse it off, and then dry the vehicle than it does to just wash, clay, seal it.
Yeah, and and sometimes people like to do all those extra steps, and I mean that's totally to each his own. Like no judgment from me there. It's just I try to keep it as few steps and use as little water as possible. Derek, and not because I'm one of those crazy conservationists. It's just I work out of my own home garage, so it's like use as little water as possible. Good morning, everyone. David Orlando, y'all need to make more 3X shirts. You know what? We have that same issue at PNS and the Rag Company. So we only make a couple in that size, and then it becomes like a frenzy for who gets them.
Yeah.
Kyle. So Kyle is in Wisconsin. He said, I'll be stopping by.
Yeah, I think soon. He's up, he's either Oshkosh or Appleton, but he's actually the gentleman I was talking about who was asking about all the products in the booth at Mobile Tech, and then I forgot about Absolute.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. Josh says he likes the P2704 pad with metal bright.
Yep. That's the open fiber wool with the interface. Yep.
Yeah, but but the new one, the black interface, but the new one that we have in the free ride collection with the blue interface, I actually like that one better because it gives you a little bit more like leverage.
Yeah. A little more bite.
So a little more bite. So I'm liking the new blue one.
Yeah.
Ron to Travis, use a step ladder, gorilla ladder, or a platform. Yeah. I have those platforms. I have the platforms from Lowe's that like move up quite a bit. So they're adjustable in height. Those are my favorite platforms for sure.
Yeah. My other tip for the trucks too is to hire an employee who's over 6 foot tall.
Yes.
That's the move.
Totally.
Well, knowing your limitations is always useful. So I have the platforms as well. Prentice took my credit card when we did a training together and went and bought them. He's like, "You don't have platforms? We're getting platforms." So I have platforms.
Yeah.
So if you ever need to know what you need for your shop and safety, have Prentice come detail with you for a couple of days, and he'll go buy you all the stuff you're supposed to have.
So funny. So funny. All right, Thomas Goleski. Erik is the man. He has so much knowledge. It's not even funny. Miss you, brother.
Thomas, I was an intern out at Detailing Success.
Oh,
when he
awesome!
Was,
cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
that's fun. Ron, if the truck does not have a cap or a tonneau cover, you can climb in the bed. Yes, I have been known to do that for sure. Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that. I fully endorse that concept. Yep.
Yeah.
And I use a step ladder to get into the bed because my knees are that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And since you said that, those Ford trucks, I know you're going to know this, Keith. They have that like kick out step. Okay, you'll kill yourself trying to get the kick out step to come out. Like, what is the deal? And then to go back in, like if you have bad knees or something, you will straight throw them out trying to get that thing out or in.
Well, I have a 2015, so that was not an option or benefit to my truck. So I have a nightmare. I don't know what it is. I have a little 2-step step stool that just lives in my bed, and I pull it out and I put it on the ground. Everybody looks at me like I'm crazy. My knees don't hurt, so there you go.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about, Erik? Do you guys have those? And they get full of sand and they don't like glide. The ones that are on the side of the
horrible.
They're horrible. And they
And then you got GM made that like 14-piece tailgate or whatever, and that's always leaking water, always dirty, just a mess too.
Gosh, it's so funny. Yeah. It's great. All right, David Orlando, do you all have training in mid Tennessee? Ooh.
It could happen. We have been to Nashville area, yes, north of Nashville, and we did that last year in October, I think, and so we may do it again this year. I think that's kind of on the agenda, but it'll probably be midsummer or later before we get up there. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. Yes, please and thank you.
He's talking about the all-in training. So yeah, we got to connect him with Josh. Where can we find Josh's classes? So soon, like within the next couple of weeks, they will be up on the PNS website. So we are actively working on that, getting them listed. I think Josh has his schedule, but
I have a schedule.
Get it up on the website.
So Ian and I will get together this week. Obviously, today's a holiday, so it'll be tomorrow. My goal is to have it up before we get into the mothership next week. So
So watch for that, Kyle, and we'll announce it on Bead Maker Lounge. So watch there. We'll let everybody know when that PNS University Iowa is up on the PNS website.
Yeah. So the coinciding dates that he's trying to do them the same kind of day period.
Oh, the same as us.
Except for when Josh is coming to Hayward to do our classes, which I think we've got him scheduled for maybe April or May. So, Josh will be an instructor, obviously, at PNS from time to time. And then he'll also kind of be mirroring our dates when we do our classes. So
cool. Good morning.
I think that's another international partner. Go Birds. Yes.
Good morning. Go Birds. Yes. Go Birds. Siler Sales. We are hosting rotating classes every month, 1 day extremes, cutting and coating, body shop, and marine specific. This Friday is a 1 day extreme that's full. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Ryan has drunk our Kool-Aid, and we love it. So
that's awesome. And that's worth mentioning. Like our distributors that really grasp onto our training program really do so well because, that's part of it is just, detailers, enthusiasts, they want to know how to use the products and they, feed off the enthusiasm and knowing how to properly use them. And so doing the trainings makes all the difference for the distributors that do them. It's really, and it keeps them up on the products too. So kudos to Siler Sales. That's awesome. Steve Pearson, I'm stuck in meetings all morning. Hope everyone is doing well. I'll have to listen in later. Last question on Crystal Wash. What is the consensus of Crystal Wash on glass? I've been loving it. So, Erik, do you use Crystal Wash ever?
I bought some and I tried it and I really like it. I really like the concept. The only struggle I've had with it is when it's cold outside and you pull the car into the shop, it takes so long for that Crystal Wash to crystallize that I kind of kicked it out the door for the winter season. But I think once spring comes and it's warmer, I'm really excited to start using it on all the maintenance vehicles.
So here is one thing about Crystal Wash is you don't have to wait for it to crystallize. Like it's still kind of doing its job. Okay. I mean, you can still use it. Yeah, you can absolutely still use it. But I love it in the winter because it gets rid of all that road salt. Like that's
it does do good with that.
It's my favorite. But I know what you mean, but I don't always wait for it to crystallize. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay to do that. But on glass, I use it on the side glass. I don't spray it on the windshield. There has been times where, and we tell you to avoid the windshield. And the reason is sometimes it can leave little staining on the glass. Not always, but sometimes. Now, not a huge deal because when I've done that, like if the front glass is really bad, I will put it on there. And if I have any staining, I go back over with Clarity Cream anyway. But if you don't want to have to do that, like if you're just doing a wash, I would avoid the front windshield. If you're doing a coating and you're going to be polishing the front windshield anyway, have at it, right? But you do want to try to avoid the front glass. There's something different in that it does kind of stain. I've never had any issue on rear or side glass with it. But the front windshield, I do remember about a year and a half ago, I had one that stained pretty good, but it comes right off with Clarity Cream. So it's no big deal if you do that. But you are probably guaranteeing yourself to have to polish the front glass if you use it on the front glass. But a lot of times, like in coatings, I'm going to be polishing it anyway, so I don't be as careful.
The PNS Coating
That's
Center
exactly how I was using
or PNS Training Center policy is we don't put it on glass unless we plan to polish the glass.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the tempered glass on the side windows, and the front windshield is a laminar product. So I tell anybody, if you're going to put it on glass, just you plan to polish the glass. It'll help with water spotting a little bit, but it is not a water spot remover by design. So if you're trying to get the water spots off the glass, you probably should be polishing it anyway. So
Frank.
Yes.
Keith, I'm looking forward to seeing you at Autoality.
Yep.
Yeah. Is that this coming weekend?
It is a week from Saturday. So yeah, I'll be leaving our group of folks visiting to go to that.
Right.
And it sounds like I've got a double session this year, so it's going to be even more fun.
Nice. All right, Sarah.
The Rags to Riches gel.
Yep.
A good one.
Yep.
The Rags to Riches gel. This is a common problem, people.
Yeah. Gel up and stored in the house and it's not freezing. Is this normal? Eric. Do you think it's normal?
Yes, it's normal. It's okay.
Totally normal. Yeah. So we've battled that here and there in the manufacturing of it. The thing is it looks kind of gross, but it works the same. You can literally throw the gel right in the washer. You don't need to worry about it. And it doesn't have anything to do with freezing. It just has happened here and there. So I never let it bother me. I just dump it all in.
Yep. Shake it up when you can and then just toss the gel in. It'll be all right.
Yeah.
And typically we catch this if it happens in a production facility, but I'm pretty sure I know what batch that was and what day it was made, because it happens. We know it happens. So it's perfectly usable. Some folks even cut it into little squares and treat it like a Tide Pod.
Yep. All right, Josh, black free ride finishing pad and rehab do a pretty darn good job on black. Yes. And so that goes back to not being too aggressive, right? We always think the scratches, we need to be more aggressive, but we cause more issue on that black GM paint when we try to be too aggressive. I
would definitely drop your speed down too on your tool.
Yeah.
And I'm all for, crank it up and grip it and rip it, but slow your speed down on the black.
Yeah. All right. Josh says, replying to Sarah, that's pretty normal with the Rags to Riches, just as effective that way. So just shake it up and use the gel. The little orange gel.
The gel.
Love it. Yeah. Christopher Todd Robertson, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Minnesota. Yes. Here we go.
Sarah, yep. She's saying thanks to Josh.
Steve Pearson, there we go. My guy Kirby. Hey, we got Houston checking in.
Kirby. Good morning to Kenneth and Eric too.
Yeah. So Kirby will be representing the IDA team at Southwest Car Wash Show a week from now. So good luck to you guys on that one. You and Prentice will be out there. That'd be awesome.
This is a great question from Steve. You might have met Steve at MTE, Eric. He was there first time attendee as well. So Eric, what is your progression in detailing? Did you start at home, mobile, then expand from there? Is there anything that you would have done differently?
Yeah, good question, Steve. So I started mobile. I already had a pickup truck, so all I did was buy a trailer and outfitted it with everything I thought I needed and just started going at it. And that's when I met PNS, and then I incorporated all their products, which made life quicker and easier. And so I did that for two or 3 years, I can't remember. And then I moved into shop-based, and I got rid of mobile immediately. And my clients were pretty reasonable and understanding. And so what I learned was when I got the shop, I was worried that the shop was going to be too big because I got a 3,000 square foot shop. I've got 4 detailing bays in it, right? And even when it was just myself. So I hired when I was mobile, and that was a little tough. It brought efficiency up, but everybody understands the mobile game, and it's a little tough when you got 2 people. And so with the shop, it made it, when I had a crew, a lot easier to work with them. And then we could hold a lot more projects. So I very quickly became more profitable with the shop. The thing I did learn, though, is very quickly it was too small of a space. And so at the end of the day, I think just being able to make the quick moves and not commit too hard on one location is a good idea. So then you can jump as your business grows. Instead of doing slow jumps, maybe do kind of almost like stepping stones that kind of get you there. And the one thing I would have changed, and this is the hardest part when you're running the business, doing the detailing, doing everything, is keeping the marketing consistent. Mm-hmm. I think that's the big ticket item when you're doing all these transitions, because you go from being profitable with your mobile, then you go to shop based where you got more expenses, and then you go up, and then you're going to get a bigger shop and you go down. And so that always changes, and you want to keep that marketing and the business rolling in.
Very cool. Very cool. So you suggest to people maybe making that move into a shop is to try to find a deal where maybe it's not a long-term commitment, so to get into a shop that they can seem reasonable with at the time, but not have something that's a long-term commitment, because we know always as detailers is that you're always going to want to get bigger and bigger, right? So that totally makes sense. So try to find a situation that's not a long-term commitment, because always leave yourself room for growth, right? I think that's really like the end of the game, is that you always want to leave yourself room for growth. And we've seen a lot, like I can think of Chris Lee in McMinnville is a great example, where he was at home, then he had to go into a shop. So he started out kind of small, but he chose a building that had expansion space next to him. And so then when that space came available, he was able to jump on it and expand, so that's a good type of building to look for too, is something that, that you can expand in the future.
Yeah. Even those detailers that are, curious if they should try a shop, and just go get the 1,200 square foot shop, try it out. If you've got your income that'll cover it, try it for 6 months and see if it's good. And I bet you very quickly you'll find that you're going to want more room,
Yep. Very cool. Very cool. Look who's checking in. Zach Bernal. Good morning, Sid and Eric. We miss you, Zach. Yeah, we miss you. Thanks for checking in.
I talk to him probably every week.
That's
pretty much every day.
That's so awesome.
So all we need to do is get you on the program to get him back. Okay, that's
yes.
I know.
Yes. Well, good to see you, Zach. We miss you. Steve just saying hi to Humberto. Frank saying thanks to Ron. All right. So yes, I do the same thing, trying to get people to run it through the automatic the day of if it's really bad. Yes, for sure. And I've never had a single customer push back on that. I know it sounds crazy. And when I started saying it out loud, everyone thought I was crazy, but I mean, they're paying you to do the detailing, not the cleaning. So for sure, like not a bad idea to have them run through the car wash.
We need to get you to do one of those, the girl goes, say the weird thing.
Yeah.
And then have you do that. I think we
Yeah. David, with your different coating levels, for you, cost and ease of why not just use Stout? The cost difference must be minimal, just a thought. So I think that just for customers, you have to offer different levels so that they feel like they have a choice. I never try to push them in, but most of my customers go with Stout, because when I list off the benefits, they decide they want all the benefits, and mine are about a $400 to $500 difference in price between the three levels. I almost never do sole. I never do a 1-year coating, but I still tell them about it. And so each steps up about $400 or $500. In some cases about $600. So what I do is I tell them all the different levels, and then I put the value for them. Like I tell them the value for them within those areas. If I know it's a customer that is literally leasing their car for 2 years and it's white, I'm not going to push them into getting Stout. Now, sometimes they'll still choose that, but I actually provide more value in the classic, for them. And so I think that it's important to have options so that they feel like they're making an informed decision. I don't like to just say, here's my ceramic coating, it's this price. I feel like customers like options. Now,
everybody's got a budget and everybody's got, what they're looking for. And so I like to just lay out the options kind of like you and let them pick what fits them.
Yeah. No, I totally let them pick. And I tell them they're all great options. I mean, I tell them like, you're going to, this is going to be great on any of them. I will say most of my customers choose the top tier, but I mean, I give them all the options. And I think that that's totally fair, because I know as a consumer, if I was going into anything where it was temporary on my part, I would want to know what the temporary option was. We all put a different value into things. And I think just the fact that they're getting a coating is great. And so, I'm fine if people choose the 3 year. I really try to not push the 1 year just because I think they're paying for a lot more, that they're not getting a ton more than just Defender on its own, because Defender is so great that I try to, but I still offer it to them, but no one, I don't think I've ever done just a sole.
Well, and it goes back to what we talked about in our class Saturday, and we talked at every class about this. Sell the features and benefits and let the customer make the choice that fits their lifestyle the best. I mean, hey, look, let's face it. You can put a 1-year coating on a show car that comes out twice a year.
Oh, yeah.
That's a 10-year coating, right?
Right, for sure.
So, again, what are they trying to accomplish? Where do they want to go with it? And what's the end goal?
Right.
So,
yeah, for sure.
Hello from Toronto. I saw that. Gary.
Alan Medcraft. Isn't he great, Eric? Was that the first time you met Alan?
It was. He was a blast.
He is
He's a cheeky little fella.
He almost didn't come to MTE this year, and he's been with us at every single MTE that I've been at. And so I was just like, no, you're coming, because I can't imagine it without him. Yeah. Love him. All right,
he got even with me today. He got me up at 4:00 for a meeting. So
yeah, Oof. A touchless automatic wash. I'm kind of 50-50. I think they both do the same amount of damage.
So, and my advice on this one, and you guys know I'm the car wash guy around here. You have to know the washes in your town if you're going to tell somebody to do it, because Sid does that, and she knows which wash to send somebody to. There are fine friction wash car washes in every market, and then there are dirtbag ones, and we all know the difference between the two if you've been through them. So, just recommend a good one. And realize, you're probably going to be polishing the car anyway. So you're really worried about some minor, car wash scratching? Not really. So.
And if you guys are really worried about this, Keith and I have done this, and actually I learned so much about the car washes in my area, is we went on a car wash tour, kind of like the IDA shop crawl, right? But look in your area and see if, any of the car wash associations come and do like a shop crawl type thing. Because we went on the one here in Boise. Keith drove over for it. He had been on several, but he took me with him. And you can learn a lot by somebody's back room. I will say that. But that is how I learned the ones to send my customers to and not. And I will tell you what, I appreciate them going to the ones that I suggest them to go to. And they appreciate my knowledge of the car washes. Because I think as a general, detailers, and I'm one of them. I mean, I think car washes are horrible. But I know that they're a necessary evil. And so my customers really appreciate that I give them permission to go, and that I tell them to go to the best ones. And it may not be the fanciest one, but it's the one that the owner cares the most. The equipment's kept in good order. The filter's kept in good order. That is the key. It's not how much the building looks like it costs. It's not all the fancy stuff. It's really how they run the business. So if you have any way to research that in your area and get into those washes and look at their equipment, walk down the tunnel, walk into the back room, man, you learn so much. So much.
Yeah. And I did steal the shop crawl from those guys. So Southwest Car Wash Association does anywhere between 2 and 4 of those events a year. So I would check out their page. They have their convention next week.
Super cool.
But they do them all around the kind of southeast. They incorporated like 3 car wash associations, so they basically cover the whole U.S. So check them out. They always have something that's kind of fun.
Very cool. Wait, go back to that one. I wanted Eric to answer that one because I bet he has this issue. Gary Wall says, my Clean Maker froze. Should I throw it out?
Yeah, it happens. So when I was mobile, I'd put a heater in my trailer, which was a horrible fire hazard, I'm sure, but I'd put it in there overnight. Now I've got my shop, but I've got these like alarms that go off if the temperature drops too low, and it always does by the concrete, even if my heater is at 60. So you got to be careful with watching those products to freeze. What I like to do is there's certain ones that you'll just throw out, but just do a test spot. See if it works. See if you still like it, if it applies well.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're talking $5-10 worth of product, maybe it's worth just not even messing with it and start over.
Yeah. And it is one of those things too, where they're meant to take so many freeze thaw cycles. Usually the first one always happens in shipping at this time of year. It's unavoidable. In the freezer box of UPS, they just freeze. So usually you'll have everything freeze once. Now it depends on how many times it's frozen. So let it thaw out slowly. Don't ever try to, run it under hot water or anything. Let it thaw normally. And then if it separates, that's kind of your big key that it's no good. If it looks pretty normal, do a test spot, but some of them can take so many. Bead Maker is one that's obviously in the Clean Maker. Bead Maker is one that has about what, Keith, 1.75 freeze cycles. So it just depends on how much it freezes.
So here's the trick to know if a product is viable. If it's cloudy naturally and it turns clear, it's no good. If it's clear naturally and it turns cloudy, it's no good. If it doesn't separate normally and it separates, it's no good. I mean, those are your and don't freeze acids. You freeze an acid, it's done, get rid of it. Is generally kind of the way you look at it. That's kind of is what it is. So.
Yeah. So Dawn says, what are your thoughts on joining the IDA? I see where there are written tests, which seems straightforward, but the certified trainings all seem to not be in the US. Do you guys recommend getting any other certifications other than the IDA type? Erik, you're certified in the IDA. Do you feel like it's a good thing?
Yeah. I think it depends on where you're at, but I think it's a great thing. And I think Keith's probably a good answer for this, but there's trainings in the US.
Yeah,
right?
there's tons. Tons.
So we have every year in October we do a global skills validation day or week where every certified recognized independent trainer, which is myself and Josh Pierce right now, soon to be Sydney. She just fights me on it every day.
I know I do.
But we do one at Hayward every year. We do an event at Hayward every year. I usually do 2 to 4 a year around the country. I did one in Michigan last year at Seiler Sales. They are held all the time. They're typically done by trainers like me who work for a manufacturer. So, no, they're done everywhere. And heck, we just did 16 new people at Mobile Tech Expo. So they do happen around the U.S. Dawn, there's a website at the IDA that has all the calendar up there. They're there. Should you join the IDA? I really think for $9 a month for the content you get out of it with the newsletter, with the webinar access. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer not to do it. So you should. We are big proponents. You can see there's a few of us around here who've been involved in the IDA for a long, long time. So it is near and dear to my heart, but it's near and dear to my heart because I've met people like Sydney and Erik and Josh Pierce, and through that medium, it wasn't just P&S. And so the biggest benefit I think anybody gets out of the IDA is the connection to other detailers, the shared experiences. The certifications are great as an incentive, Erik, you know it, for your employees, that you'll pay for it. And if they stay for a certain period of time, they can get benefits at the workplace. So it demonstrates to your customer you've invested in your craft. Not that doing other trainings is bad. It's a start point, though. And I will say that the IDA's program is a start point. It's a base level on the knowledge tests. It's a base level on the hands-on testing. Then you get into the specialties a little more advanced, but then go find other things. And what you're going to find is there's great training out there. There's one days like we do with all the manufacturers and a lot of other training outlets. So there are opportunities to engage in the industry, but it's a great baseline start.
Yeah.
So I got a good story for this too. And I love the IDA, and that's exactly where I started, and I needed it, especially with those written tests, which you can do online.
Yes,
is that right?
You can. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a good aspect of it. So I learned how to detail from a really old school detailing guy. And so we were using wheel acids on everything because it was the fast and easy way to clean, right? And I remember taking the test, and there was a question about wheel acids, and it said, how do you neutralize wheel acids? And I looked up it and I said, you're supposed to neutralize wheel acids?
Yeah.
So there's really important things about detailing that the IDA tests do cover, which is good.
For sure. And I think too, there's always like the debate on whether the certifications mean anything to your customers. And I always hear people say no, but I'm like, that's got to be in the way that you're presenting it, right? Because when my customers, first thing they see in my shop is my certifications up on the wall. And if they ask about it, I just let them know that it's a professional organization that has, verified that my knowledge and skills are, you know, up to date and all of that. And they appreciate that. My customers appreciate it. Now, do I make it a big deal before they're my customer? No, not necessarily. But when we're just chatting and I'm letting them know about myself, which builds value in, what we're doing there that day, my customers all go, "Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's awesome." But nobody do they go, why would you have a certificate? I mean, so I don't think any certifications are bad. But I think the starting point is the IDA. I think everybody should, do that. It's a very low cost entry. And so I think that the value that you get, and then just like Keith said, your access to people and, the knowledge and all of that is really, really great. And then I think certifications beyond that is a great goal as well. I think that being certified in whatever ceramic coating you choose, I think is good and helpful. Because I think that again, I will tell my customers that I'm certified in the coatings that I use. Again, I don't necessarily focus on the brand. I just let them know that I always say, I am certified and I've chosen this coating because of this. And I say, because it holds up in car washes, it holds up to the salt. Like I put it to them, like what the challenges are and how I care about them and that I chose this brand of coating for them. And I don't really focus on the brand name. So, because I'm selling myself as their detailer. And so I think that's where certifications can be really helpful that show that you've spent the time and effort and money to know that product that is the best for them. So
I always say that investing in your craft, right? I mean,
right. Yeah.
There isn't a teacher on the planet that doesn't have
Yeah.
a licensure certificate.
Right.
There isn't a doctor or even look,
Yeah.
a CNA has a certificate, right? They've gone and invested in their craft. I mean, Erik and I both have held EMT certifications at different levels, and let's face it, man. I stole the whole program from the NREMT anyway for how we built the testing. But the reality is, it just shows that you've at least done something to educate yourself and do self-improvement. And I think customers want to know that, why should I trust you over somebody else?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And don't do it because the idea says so. Do it because it shows that I've done the work to invest in myself. When you walk in, Erik, I know the certificate's hanging on your wall, and they see 4 or 5 different ones up there, and they go, "Oh, this guy," and the dates have different years on them. It indicates he didn't stop 12 years ago. He's continued to evolve, and so hopefully they're doing something that's current, right? Which is more reinforcement of what you're doing. So
when clients are shopping for you, they go through all these different levels of credibility. And the first one's usually social media. So you want to present well there. Then you're going to present well on your website. Then you're going to present well over a phone call. Then it's how you're dressed. Then it's your, your certifications get caught up in there. And then, I was talking with Zach about this. Then you add, you can add YouTube in, you get more certifications there. Just, they're not really certifications, but it's the credibility. And so it all kind of adds up. And I think that the IDA is a good point in there.
Yep. Very cool. And that's important.
It's totally an independent thing. So it's not manufacturer dependent. And a lot of folks want to know that you've been you're vetted outside of the manufacturer's trying to get you to sell more of their product. Well, they don't have a product to sell. So there's a little independence there. And that's not a bad thing to just show your let's say you're even handed with your training. So
we got 5 minutes because I got a meeting at 9:30 that I have to go down.
I got to run too.
I get down the hill for. So rapid time because we still got to talk about what's coming up. So we got to go really rapid here.
So Kron says he uses Defender. I'm just moving on now. Greetings from El Salvador. Hey, Joseph. Nice to catch up with you. Alex, Joey Belinsky uses the mid on his stick for the lowers. And
yin and yang. Joey Belinsky, Erik, if you don't know him, is like 6'7". He's very, very tall.
That's up there.
Hey, Carlos. Good to see you. All right. Here we go. Chilean present. We got to love it. We are truly international today, so that's great.
Yes. My guy Kirby, which PNS polish can I use to remove micro-marring on a black Elantra? I tried rehab, but it did not remove it. Try a different pad.
Or slow speed.
Yeah, try a different pad for sure. Because rehab, I've only found aftermarket paint. I've only found one job in 2 years that it did not work on, and it was aftermarket on a 55 Chevy. So just try adjusting your pad, and if that doesn't work, stay tuned for a couple months.
Yeah. So I will tell you, Kirby, you need the Oreo pad. That's going to be the pad that's going to work for you. The wool pad will be too aggressive, and the burgundy isn't going to be aggressive enough. The Elantra paint is brittle and hard, and that's why you need that. And use a Rupes. Don't use a Flex.
Yeah.
Because that large throw is to your benefit on that car.
Bradley Bradshaw cannot wait for the North Carolina class.
Yes, I'm supposed to do one down there, and it'll actually be a combined effort between our two distributors in North Carolina, which will be really cool. We haven't done that before, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we got to get that scheduled. Alex, we're going to need a Bead Maker Lounge marketplace where we can just sell Fat Joes. Yes, we'll talk to Josh about that.
Yeah, Josh will stand that up. That's a Josh Lane. That's his department.
Josh is our, we're going to have to call him our official, what do you call that? Merch guy.
Yes. Yep.
All right, Alex,
that was the same comment, I think.
Cool.
Better spelling.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, where Josh Pierce, well, he changed it to where Josh Pierce sells Fat Joes. Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome.
So, okay. Yeah. Got that one. All right. I'm going to the next one.
Okay. Good morning. Tony here. As the ultimate off-road undercarriage cleaning, including wheels and tires, I'm using triple busters, mud, brake, and iron. Is this too much? It seems to work for me. If it works for you, rock it. I don't think that's too much. I think that's great. If it's
Tony, you have our full endorsement. Do it.
Yeah.
Play with it.
Steve, I just tuned in at the right time to hear the answer from Erik. That was great advice. Much appreciated.
Awesome.
Perfect.
David, follow up. Is that 500 to 600 steps between offering almost pure profit, or are you doing an additional step as well? I am not doing an additional step. So technically it would be pure profit. However, let's just take between my 3 and 5 year, it's kind of just pure profit at that point, but also generally speaking, your product cost is going to be a little bit different as well. So some of your product cost is absorbed into that. But for me, it's no extra step or no extra polishing on the paint. They're getting the same paint correction in there regardless.
Right. Yeah, because you still want to make the base perfect, as perfect as you can make it. And product cost is about 25 to 30% more to go to the premium coating. So
right. And you do have to factor in some of that money you're getting up front, but you may be like, I would say that on like a 5-year coating, I might do a little bit more maintenance when it comes in for maintenance, but I'm not charging them anymore. So you do get a little bit more up front, but you also, like the last 3 years of that 5-year coating, you might end up doing a little bit more maintenance, maybe some polishing out some scratches with like UCP or something. And so I always factor that in, because when they come back for maintenance, I'm not charging them anymore. So I kind of take that as like upfront, yes, I'm making more profit, but I may lose some on the maintenance later on in life. So it all equals out in the end for sure. Yeah. One thing to watch on a car wash is not to be the next person behind the dirty truck. Just saying, yes, for sure.
Yeah, and also don't be the next car behind the guy with the fishing gear in the back of the truck, because there's damn sure going to be some stuff caught in the wraps.
Yes. Do ceramic spray sealants or spray ceramic coatings ever reach the same level of gloss or hydrophobics? No. Nope. You will get some, but it won't be the same level and it won't be the same hydrophobic, and it certainly won't last long. I love this comment because she actually texted this to me over the weekend. Angela, who's the yacht detailer in Seattle, said, I had a great conversation with a client detailer in my area. He was dead set on 3M and Griot's, which I don't knock, especially because Griot's is 5 minutes from us, but I turned him onto rehab for the type of boats he does that are lightly oxidized under 30 feet, and he fell in love. He said it's already cut his time down, and of course it smells great, so that's fun. Yes. I have seen that many boat detailers are starting to love rehab, which is awesome. Hello, Wonder Team. Hello, Hans.
Hello, Hans. Here's
we got
one.
Like 30 seconds. Gabriel, Keith, it's great that you also talk about the Duetto. It's an amazing tool. Yes, I do know Gabriel loves the Duetto.
Yeah, I like the Duetto too. It's a great tool.
Yep, love the Josh, the merch guy. Hi, guys. Yes, that is so true.
Okay.
All right, so
calendar time. Let's do it.
Yes, let's jam through the calendar. So next week, starting Sunday, Keith is heading to Hayward. We have an amazing training. We're super excited about it. We have the Car Supplies Warehouse crew coming in, doing tint and PPF, so the optical. line that they created about a little over a year ago, which has
Yep.
been super successful for them. So we're so excited to have like an outside crew come in, take over our training center. Keith and I will both be there kind of as PNS liaisons for them throughout the week, tagging in, tagging out type deal. So we're super excited about that. So definitely watch for that on social media. We will be sharing what's going on in the training center. Then Keith goes to Ottawa that weekend, right?
Right. Yep. Saturday next week from now. Yep.
Yep. And that's their club event. That is super cool. So lots of vendors go and their club members get to come in and learn directly from all of those vendors. Then the week after that, Keith and I are going to Las Vegas for the Mint 400, which is an off-road rally race and kind of off-road show. So we have never done anything like this. So totally out of the box. We're really excited about it. This will be our first kind of off-road show where the off-road line after 5 years makes its first official debut at an off-road show. So we're pretty excited about that. I mean, you've kind of done them in Arizona, but kind of the whole lineup, right? We're just taking off-road this time.
Yep.
And so we're pretty excited about that. We have no idea what to expect. It's totally out of the box. So we're pretty excited about that. We were invited to that show by a great fan of PNS, Walter, who is, does a lot of the detailing paint work at Counts Customs. So we're excited to be there with him. He is going to let us use his SEMA build Bronco in our booth. So definitely watch for that as well. That's the first week of March. And then I think that's the next couple of weeks. And then we'll be back for Bead Maker and Coffee, right?
We will. And then we are, because we're a glutton for punishment, we have training week at PNS the week of St. Patrick's.
The next week. Right.
17th.
The next week. Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be fun time. But
and we still have a couple spots open for that. So
yes. Yeah.
That's
so if you want to come in for all in day or one of the 2 Stout coding classes, which is a Monday and a Wednesday. And then actually I forgot to mention that's our Spanish language class as well.
Yeah.
So Monday, Tuesday's English, Wednesday, Thursday, Spanish. I don't know how that's going to go for me because I don't speak the language, but fortunately,
very cool.
We've got
a great helper.
So.
Yes, you have a great helper. All right. Well, I have to run because I have a 25-minute drive to get to a meeting that starts in 26 minutes. So Erik, thank you so much for coming on. You are great, amazing. We can't wait to watch what you do. We'll have you back on. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. Keith, thank you for keeping us in line. And we will see everybody in 2 weeks.